I'm Richard Price, CEO of academia.edu, and I'll be guiding you through today's episode, where we take a close, honest look at a really intriguing piece of scholarship I stumbled upon recently. So grab your coffee, take a seat, and let's dive in. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating paper authored by Marek Kreda. Now, I want to remind everyone, I'm here to present this research neutrally. I'm not endorsing any claims, but just laying them out plainly so we can all ponder. What might this mean for you, for historians, or for anyone passionate about the tangled roots of Europe's past? The paper zeroes in on something, honestly, remarkable. It's about a 10th century female princely tomb discovered at Wawel Castle in Kraków, Poland. Yep, we are talking about Kraków, the iconic city on the Vistula River, topped by a hill where Polish kings once ruled. And inside its earliest cathedral, archaeologists found a tomb that's not only young for medieval standards, but also, well, just full of surprises. Let me set the scene. Back in the 10th century, they built this rotunda, calling it Church B. Deep beneath, hidden for centuries, they uncovered a burial, yes, a woman's burial, right in the place of honor. The grave was topped with a huge stone slab carved in the Gotland style with a cross, specifically the so-called Cross of the god Thor. I mean, that detail alone practically jumps out, right? Pagan symbolism in a Christian church. So, what's the core question here? In a nutshell, who was this Scandinavian woman buried with such splendor in the heart of early Polish power? And what does her presence say about Viking or Scandinavian influence in Poland during Christianity's first steps? This isn't just about Kraków, it's about power, migrations, and the cultural mixing that shaped not just Poland, but, well, so many places in Europe. This could seem a bit academic, but let's bring it home. What's actually interesting for you listening out there? It's the idea that history is less about clear lines and more about blurry borders, cultural mashups, and how reminders of our pagan past might lurk right under a church's foundation. Okay, so what are some key findings in this paper? For starters, Kreda and others point out the location of the grave, right under the gallery, the spot of big-time honor, the style of the tombstone, its cross, herringbone carved sandstone, Gotland craftsmanship, all shout out Scandinavia. Even though the grave goods were swiped by ancient looters, the skeletal analysis shows this woman, likely of the ruling class, had a distinctly elongated skull. Yes, artificial cranial deformation, as in her skull was intentionally shaped in childhood, a custom, the author notes, that's been documented among some elites in the Norse world. What does that mean? Well, nobody claims all Vikings ran around with odd-shaped skulls, but for some groups it's a sign of status, maybe spirituality, maybe social signaling, sort of like, I guess, designer jeans for the medieval set, but way more permanent. And the Thor's cross itself, this is the kicker. The paper argues it's not, as some once thought, a Christian processional cross, but is actually a deeply Nordic magical symbol. There are apparently similar stones from Gotland or the Isle of Man, pointing to a tradition where the lines between pagan and Christian symbols were delightfully blurry. I mean, who among us hasn't awkwardly juggled two belief systems now and then, right? Interestingly, there are even more Scandinavian features in the building itself. Fragments of decorative stone covered in Viking-style braided ornamentation unearthed in the cathedral. All these clues together whisper that Scandinavians, perhaps even elites, were weaving themselves into the early Polish story. And the Christian church itself during this time might have looked a little, well, eclectic. It's wild. History gets weirder the closer you look, I guess. And just a quick digression. Did you know Kraków has this huge mound, the Krakus Mound, supposedly built by Vikings before the city was even founded? I mean, the number of times ancient people have moved Earth to make a point. Sometimes I wish someone would just build a mound in my honor for all the emails I send. Ha ha ha, anyway. So, looping back, what does Kreda's paper offer us? What's the takeaway? Maybe you're a history buff, a teacher, or someone who just likes peeling back the layers of where you live. This research invites you to see your own city or any iconic monument as layered, built atop half-forgotten rituals, cross-border marriages, and worlds that don't quite fit into neat boxes. Again, I want to be super clear. I'm not endorsing every claim here. Academic work is all about exploring, raising more questions, and helping us all think a little deeper.